Oh, we are back. Got another fight night to break down. UFC fight night. Sandhagen versus Figueiredo. It's the Wells Fargo Arena fight night out in Des Moines. 9 o'clock Central Time, so kind of your standard time there. That's the usual time for pay-per-views, actually. Sometimes you get the Apex or like the weird one-off cards that are a little bit earlier in the day, but it seems like 9 o'clock Central Time is more or less the standard these days. Pretty decent card. I think it was like 12 or 13 fights. A couple fights with like some decent implications there, maybe some title ramifications down the line. Some up-and-comers, some old vets making a comeback. So we'll take a look here. We're going to breeze right through them. Not going to break down all of them. A couple that we're interested in, though. A couple with some decent action. I think you could maybe do some good bets on. But first up, Juliana Miller versus Ivana Petrovic. Don't really give a shit about this fight here. Both gals got some finishes to their name. I was going to say maybe we could play like your usual decision hedges on the women's fight, but we'll leave that bad boy alone. Thomas Peterson versus Dontel Mays. Couple sloppy heavyweights getting after it. Typically on the heavyweight fights, I'd be looking at like an under, under 2.5, under 1.5, depending on who's fighting. Maybe taking one guy inside the distance, but Dontel Mays has a habit of actually drawing fights out and bringing them to a decision. So I think we'll probably leave this one alone. You could maybe play like the over. See, even the over 2.5 is actually a decent favorite there, minus 155. You can maybe play that, but personally, I'd probably just leave this one alone. Enjoy the slop fest. Let these two heavyweight boys beat the shit out of each other, and then maybe go split a donut afterwards or something. Gaston Bolanos versus Kwang Le. Don't really care much about this fight either. Gaston Bolanos, I think we've only seen like maybe one or two of his fights, whereas Kwang, we've seen maybe 2 or 3 of his, only like 1 or 2 more. Yeah, so I said 2 or 3. We've seen exactly 3 of them. Cortavius Romeus, coming off decision win. He's 32 years old, the old dream killer from Dublin, California. 8-4, 6 knockouts, 2 decision wins. He's got 1 knockout win, 1 knockout loss, 2 submission losses, 1 decision loss. Going against Kwang Bang Le, however you say it. 8-2, he's 33 years old. He's got 2 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, 3 decision wins. He's got 1 knockout loss, 1 decision loss. 2 losses in a row, though. Well, one of them is Chris Gutierrez. Can't be too upset at that. Dude's no slouch. So pretty similar records, pretty similar points in their careers, it looks like. So, yeah, we'll just probably leave that one alone. Maybe take... I almost think the under wouldn't be the worst bet of all time, given they both have a decent amount of finishes, and you would think would want to come out there and make a statement, being on the UFC cards. But next up, in the first fight of the night that we actually bothered breaking down here, we have Jillian Robertson versus Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez has been around for a while. It's kind of I guess you call her like a grizzled vet at this point. She's got some miles on them tires. 38 years old. Did she just have a birthday? Yeah, she did. Wow, okay. Birthday's today. I'm like, I swear I just was doing her notes and had her at 37. So, birthday today. 17-5. She's got 7 knockout wins, 1 submission win, 9 decision wins. Quite a few decisions. She's got 1 knockout loss and 4 decision losses. Coming off 2 losses back-to-back here, though. Both of them split decisions. Then she has a TKO win over Michelle Watterson, who's honestly trash. I can't stand that chick. So it's like, all right, well, at least she got a TKO win. It was creeping in on 2 years ago. So how much water does it hold at this point? Maybe not a lot, given the caliber of competition it was against in the first place. And then 2 more losses right after that. So lost 4 out of her last 5. Not a super great look on her record. Pretty upright fighting stance, though. You're kind of like meat and potato striker. She's not throwing like super fancy stuff. Kind of like 1-2s, a couple leg kicks here and there. She'll throw a kick up the middle. She does like to slide out to the side and stab the jab out there here and there. Which in this fight you would actually like to see her do quite a bit to keep Jillian on the outside. Pump the jab. Don't throw a ton of kicks because Jillian's going to grab her and get the takedown. I don't know, she's like going for these feints. She starts getting this whole like flailing of her hands thing going around, and it's kind of, after a minute, it gets a little obvious what she's doing. It's like, well, if you're going to be throwing feints, the key is to make them look real, not have your hands open and just be flailing your arms around. And then when you actually go for a strike, you close your fist and throw it normal, because then it's kind of obvious what you're doing. So I don't know. Maybe Jillian will get some good reads on her. I feel like she's Marina Rodriguez is Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but just like a lesser version of her. Like not as good, really, in any facet, to say it bluntly. So she's gonna really have to have improved on her grappling defense here, and I just don't see it happening. That's always been a weakness for her, and going against a girl like Jillian Robertson, who is tenacious to say the least, like very just goes for the takedown, just like a dog with a bone, I guess you could say. Like just gets in on the hips and just goes for it. I see it paying off here. Taking a look at Jillian, though, she's 29 years old. She's 15-8. Luckily, I write down their stuff as I'm waiting for this to load. 2 knockouts, 9 submission wins, 4 decision wins. She's got 1 knockout loss, 1 submission loss, 6 decision losses. Coming off 3 wins in a row. Kind of conversely, she's won 4 of her last 5, whereas Marina has lost 4 of her last 5. 2 decisions, unanimous decisions, and then a nice TKO win over Mrs. Polyana Viana, who got smoked last weekend as well. Clearly favors the grappling. She's a jiu-jitsu standout. Okay wrestling. It's not like super good. Like I said, she gets in good on the hips, and then she just kind of gets by on being tenacious and relatively strong. She's actually even, I would say, maybe even a hair undersized for this division. She's not like the biggest girl, strongest girl ever, but just tenacious. She's like a younger Miesha Tate, who is on this card conveniently enough. But striking's coming along. It's not like the greatest like improvement between fights. You kind of see glimpses of improvements, and then she reverts back into a lot of the same shit that she's been doing. So you really want to see some kind of improvement, at least on the defense side of things, against a girl who's pretty sharp in the striking like Marina Rodriguez. Otherwise, you could see Mrs. Jillian Robertson eating a lot of jabs throughout the night, and maybe eventually a head kick or something. But she did look okay against Pinheiro. It wasn't like horrendous, but it was really once she got her to the ground that it was like, okay, this is where she favors the fight, and where she's going to be dominant, like positionally, and have a lot of success. So we'll see. I do think Jillian Robertson wins this weekend. I think she might have a little bit of trouble getting Marina down at the beginning, but I think honestly she probably struggled more with Pinheiro than she will with Marina. Once she gets her to the ground, she's probably going to hammer her pretty solid. I would maybe look at Jillian inside the distance. You could take the under 2.5 if you wanted. Take Jillian Robertson as a nice parlay piece. I see the Savage getting it done and continuing her streak towards the belt. I'd like to see her move up a couple spots, get one more fight, and then get a shot. It'd be nice to see. Next up, Ryan Loder versus Azamat Bekoev. I don't really know shit about these guys. I was kind of looking at their records when I was breaking down the rest of this card earlier in the week, last 2 days or so. Oops, wrong one. Both of them have promise, though. I think Ryan Loder was like mid-early 30s. Yeah, 33. 7-1. He's got 5 knockouts, 2 decision wins. 6'2", 185, so he's a pretty decent-sized kid here. He only has 1 decision loss, which was against Troy Green back in January of 2023. I don't know a ton about Troy Green, so can't speak to like what level of competition that was that he's losing to. But TKO win over Robert Valentin, so that's pretty decent. What's his nuts couldn't finish him. Little short, buff dude. Torres Finney couldn't finish him. As a matter of fact, he did everything he could to not fight him. Basically stalled him out. Then you got Azamat Bekoev, 29 years old, Kingpin, Russian guy, 19-3, 7 knockout wins, 8 submissions, 4 decisions. He's had 1 submission loss and 2 decision losses, which were quite some time ago. Scarf hold submission loss back 9/11 of 21. So, like I said, 2 guys with some promise to, I don't want to say up-and-comers because both of them have a decent amount of experience, but they're up-and-comers in the UFC at least. Azamat has quite a bit more experience than Ryan Loder does, so you would think that would be maybe a factor in the outcome of this fight. I could see him pulling it off. Well, apparently the odds makers think the same thing. He's a 4-1 favorite, so not just me thinking that. Next up, Battle of the Moms. Almost made a crude joke. Yana Santos versus Miesha Cupcake Tate. I've had a crush on Miesha Tate for, I don't know, like a decade plus now, so there's going to be some bias in this one. I've always thought she was cheeked up. So I'd like to see her go out there and just beat the ever-loving piss out of Yana Santos. Stylistically, let's break them down. Yana Santos favors the striking. She's kind of an upright stance as well. 35 years old, Foxy Yana Santos. 15-8, 7 knockouts, 1 submission, 7 decision wins. 3 knockout losses, 2 submission losses, 3 decision losses. Coming off a decision win over Chelsea Chandler, but then quite a few losses in a row prior to that. She's orthodox stance, pretty decent striker. More of like a point fighter, though, than I would say that she's doing any real crazy damage. Seemingly like no power in her strikes to speak of. She's got a good low calf kick. She's throwing some like rear round kicks to the body as well in that fight against Chandler. Does have like pretty good side-to-side movement. You'd like to see her use that a fair bit in this fight, given that Miesha Tate's probably going to want to close the distance and get some grappling going. I think this is actually very similar to the Marina and Jillian Robertson fight, just an older, slower version of it. So we'll see similar game plans from both gals probably. Side-to-side movement. She looks in phenomenal shape since she's had a kid. She's come back. She looks physically maybe in the best shape she's ever been in. Like, she's relatively jacked. Does okay in the clinch. Like, she's got pretty good knees to the body. Throws the uppercuts occasionally. But again, seemingly with basically no power. She's got a fairly versatile arsenal of attacks there. She's got a wide range of shit that she can throw at you. Like I said, though, going against Mrs. Cupcake Tate here. 38 years young, 20-9, 4 knockout wins, 8 submission wins, 8 decision wins, 2 knockouts, 2 knockout losses, 3 submission losses, 4 decision losses. Coming off a face crank submission win back in December of 23 against Julia Avila. And then 2 losses prior to that, a win, and then 2 losses again. So kind of a back and forth record, not the greatest. She's lost 4 of her last, what is that, 6 or so? Yeah, 4 of her last 6, dang. But she's won 3 of her last 7 if you go one further back against Holly Holm back in 2016. Good grief. Not the most active, Miss Cupcake, but she left for a while and had some kids, so you can't fault her for that. Both of them, though, pretty ugly records. Not kind of the tail end of their careers. You can honestly see both of them maybe hanging them up after this fight, which would actually be kind of cool if they both hung them up together. But decent grappling, Miesha Tate. She's got okay wrestling. She's always been kind of I think she gets by a little bit more on physicality than a lot of technique. She's not really doing anything super fancy out there. She's got like a couple good takedowns that she goes for, a couple good like positional, like some sweeps. She's got some places where she clearly favors like this, some varying submissions, like the rear naked choke, for example, she got against Holly, and the face crank and Julia Avila. She's strong, I think. I think she's probably going to have a strength advantage against Yana Santos. Striking advantage, I'd go to Yana Santos there. Close fight on the odds. I would say Miesha Tate should win this one. She should be able to get Yana down and potentially even submit her. You can take the under 2.5 if you really want to get crazy. What are our odds at here? There you go. Play that. The under in both girls' fights, and then Jillian to win as well. Plus 1,600 odds. That'd be fucking nuts. But I think that is... Yeah, that's it for the prelims. Damn. Moving on to the main card here. So that was at 6 o'clock, by the way, the prelims. Our main card starts at 6 o'clock. The prelims... Wait, are we all fucked up here? We are all fucked up. Prelims start at 6. Main card starts at 9. Good God. Sorry. I think they might have changed the order of the fights, too. Because I had... Or either I broke them down out of order, or maybe they changed the order of them. But either way, Jeremy Stephens versus Mason Jones. Didn't do a huge breakdown on this. We don't know a ton about Mason Jones. Yeah, my notes pretty short on him, really. Stephens by KO is probably worth a tiny sprinkle. He's always worth a tiny sprinkle by KO. The guy's got very heavy hands. Coming back, he was gone for a little while at bare knuckle boxing. Coming back, I guess just based off of the success that he had in bare knuckle boxing, because aside from that, I don't really know why they brought him back. It wasn't like he, was streaking for the title or anything like that before he left. But Jeremy Stephens has always had pretty decent striking, good boxing. He's gritty as fuck. Not the greatest chin, though, as he's gotten older. And Mason Jones has relatively heavy hands, so I could see Mason potentially getting the knockout. The play here, though, is probably, I would say probably take the under. Under 2.5 at -110 isn't bad. I'll even put that on my notes. Put that on the notes there, and then we'll try and track them there so that we can put them out on Twitter. If you really want to get crazy, you could take Jeremy Stephens. Probably take him by knockout. Money line's not bad at +425, but that's basically the only way I see him winning is by knockout. So you might as well do that. Round 1s, 2, or 3, take your 1 unit bet that you would normally do and split it into thirds. You win like 480, 660, and fucking 90 something. And there you go. That's the move. Moving on. Well, let's take a look actually too. I want to see what their stats are. Jeremy Stephens, 29-21. Dude's got 50 fucking fights. Wow. 38 years old, 19 knockouts, 2 submission wins, 8 decision wins. He's been KO'd 3 times, submitted 5 times, and he's lost 13 decisions. Hard to put away, hard to kill. He got submitted back in November of 2022, though, in PFL with a arm triangle choke. Before that, split decision win. Lost to Clay Collard. Clay just fought I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that. Interesting. All right, let's see what old Mason Jones has here. Looks like he's about to cry. The Dragon from Wales. 30 years old, 15-2, so he's got a fair bit of experience as well. 7 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, 5 decision wins, 2 decision losses, coming off a decision win over Michael Pagani. Damn, 3 knockouts prior to that. Yeah, should be a fun scrap. Next up, though, Cameron Smotherman versus Sergey Sidey. Cameron Smotherman, 12-4 against today's 11-2. Let's pull their stats up here. So Mr. Smotherman, ditch the pouch here. It's on a 4-fight win streak, 12-4, 6 knockout wins, 1 submission win, 5 decision wins, 2 knockout losses, 2 decision losses. 27 years young, so he's a young buck coming up here in the 135. The decision win over Jake Hadley holds pretty good water in my book. Jake Hadley's not as bad as I think his record perhaps would indicate. And I think he also just got a recent win over in PFL. Pretty big dude, though, for the weight class. Pretty long, orthodox stance. Does leave some susceptibility to low kicks. Good chopping low kicks, I think, could probably eat him up pretty good. Not the fastest guy ever, but it's like he kind of has to get wound up a little bit. Maybe he's just a slow starter. He throws his strikes pretty quick, but I don't know. It's like his style is almost like a slow, plodding kind of style. Big power, though. Big power in the hooks. His lead hook against Hadley was pretty nasty. He's got a rear straight punch to the body. That was pretty good. He might get countered off of that, I worry. The way he kind of drops his hand when he goes for that, and he throws it quite a bit. I worry the real technical guys, maybe the guys like today, are going to get reads on that and then counter it after a while when he dips down either with a knee or a check, like a counter hook and catch him around the chin. But either way, seems like he hits real hard. He kind of reminds me almost of like a Shane Burgos, something like that. Seemingly has a pretty good chin. He ate some real big shots from Jake Hadley as well. I'd maybe like to see a little bit better head movement, which, again, I think it was more he was starting off slow because as the fight went on, he started having it. He was slipping a lot of punches, but there towards the beginning, he was eating some pretty big shots, and it's like maybe it woke him up or, again, third time, maybe he's just a slow starter. But going against the guy here, Sergey Sidey, 11-2, 7 knockout wins, 1 submission win, 3 decision wins, 2 decision losses, 28 years old, so another young buck coming off a split decision win over Mr. Garrett Armfield, and a split decision loss prior to that. So sometimes odds go in his favor, sometimes they don't. Kind of a tall, thinner build for the weight class. Orthodox, guy's all tatted up. Got good, like all of his strikes, I know he's got good snap on him, good flicking kicks. loaded calf, and then he was throwing him up the middle, going up high. Got a real good jab. Just overall snappy striking. Little upright in his stance, so I worry like higher level grapplers, wrestlers are going to be able to get a hold of his legs, get in on the hips, and get the takedown. But I don't know how much of a problem that's going to be against Mr. Smotherman here. What kind of, takedown accuracy 0%. He wasn't striking me as much of a grappling guy in his last fight, that's for sure. Pretty well-rounded fighter, though, Sirhay. He actually, the way he throws and moves reminds me a lot of Cowboy. Go back and watch some of his fights, Cowboy's fights, and compare him and tell me he doesn't move like Cowboy. Good movement, though, in and out, side to side. He's going to need it against the power striker. It's kind of your classic power striker plotting style against the more nimble, kind of dainty in and out, stabbing at you. I really don't know who to pick in this one, man. Toss up on the odds as well. I could see this going later in the fight, so I would say maybe just take like the over 1.5. Use that as a parlay piece. You could always throw that together with Jillian. Yeah, let me mark that down. Put that on there. All right, moving on. This is going to be a real fun fight, though. Real fun fight. Both of those right there, potential fight of the nights. Next up, another one, potential fight of the night. We have Montel Jackson versus Daniel Marcos. Mr. Montel Jackson, not the most active fighter on planet Earth, but the guy's a fucking monster. 33 years old, 14-2, 8 knockout wins, 1 submission win, 5 decisions, 2 decision losses. 33, so it's like kind of not a do or die point of his career, but you do want to kind of see him start getting it together here, getting on it a little bit. Several wins in a row, though, coming off 2 KOs, one over Damon Blackshear, and then the other one over Rani Yahya. Southpaw has got a kind of a longer stance, so again, you always worry about the low calf kicks, leg kicks with those longer stances, those legs way out there, as well as, higher level grapplers maybe snatching up, getting the ankle pick, or snatching up a single. He's got a nasty rear kick to the body, left straight, slept Damon Blackshear in I think it was 20 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. Just left straight, right down the pipe. Just bam! Slept him. He just looks like a fucking cat or like a coiled spring or something, man. He's always just on the verge of exploding and attacking. Almost maybe like a Marlon Moraes, just with you just sense the kinetic energy just bound up inside this guy, ready to fucking unleash it and sleep someone. Not stylistically the same, but just the energy. The guy's... Oh, I tell you who kind of reminds me of in that aspect is Gene Silva. That would be a fucking crazy... Different weight classes, but that would be nuts. That would be nuts. So long... He was able to stay pretty defensively sound against Yahya on the ground as well. It wasn't like he was doing much, advancing position and going for submissions of his own right, but Rani Yahya is such a good jiu-jitsu guy. It's the fact that you're just holding position and staying safe, even landing a couple shots, that has to count for something. Not maybe you weren't advancing and going for other stuff, but the fact that you stayed as safe as you did counts for something in my book, at least against that level of a jiu-jitsu black belt. But Montel Jackson going against the guy in Mr. Daniel Marcos, who's never tasted defeat. Sankora, I don't know what the hell that means. 17-0, 8 knockouts, 9 decisions, 32 years old, so he's only a year younger. I think it was a couple decision wins back-to-back. Yeah, and then the no contest, and then another decision prior to that. I think was there a split? Yeah, split decision as well. Orthodox fighter. He's got an upright, kind of classic kickboxing stance, hand down by the chin, and then one just a little bit forward. He does like the rear kick to the body as well, and then going upstairs, being that we've got one guy southpaw and one guy orthodox, they're both should be open to land that on each other, and it's kind of a matter of who's going to land first. When they have those mirrored stances, basically the same attacks are going to work against each other. They both have the same options to throw against each other. Likes to hand fight and then throw his shot. I wonder. This fight really had me torn here. Montel Jackson's almost a 2-1 favorite, which I think is probably about right. It's just the fact that he's 17-0 throws me off. Marcos, I think he might get caught doing the little hand fighting shit that he does. Could get a little stationary, worried about the hand fighting to land his own shot, and then in turn gets cracked by Montel. I think by and large, Daniel Marcos has gotten by with a lot of shit that Montel will probably be able to capitalize, like the whole one-shot thing and kind of the way he charges in Marcos. He'll like rush to close the gap. Not the same way that Robert Whittaker does, but I think he weaponizes it the same way that Robert Whittaker does. Like he's doing a lot of timing, and then he'll charge in, close the distance, and try to land the big shot, and then get back out and kind of land, and then close the distance, rush in. And I could see Montel Jackson potentially catching him off of that. I would almost want to take Montel inside the distance. I don't know why I'm so hellbound on dudes getting the finish when there's been so many decisions of late, but maybe it's just how dangerous Montel Jackson is. Hopefully a little more active going forward, but we'll see. Moving on, Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Daniel Rodriguez. A couple grizzled vets getting after it. Two guys, 38 years old. Ponzinibbio with the experience advantage, though. He's 30-8. Quite a few fights. He's got 17 knockouts, 6 submission wins, 7 decision wins, 8 losses, 4 by knockout, 4 by decision. The Argentine Dagger. Coming off a TKO win over Carlston Harris, 2 losses prior to that, then another TKO over Alex Morono, 2 losses before that. It's kind of a 2-on, 1-off, 2-on, 1-off. Lost 4 of his last 5, though, so not great. Kind of the tail end of his career, both these guys are, but orthodox, got a longer stance, pretty mobile at times, bouncing side to side, and then he'll kind of settle down to start throwing the big shots. Gets a little wingy with the punches, like gets real wide with the hooks and shit that he throws, but got a lot of power in that. Does like throw the jab straight, jab overhand. I don't want to say he's kind of one-dimensional in his attacks, but he does throw that kind of over and over and over again. But like I said, he's got decent power, so when he does land, it's pretty nice, and the fact that he's throwing more than one punch, he catches guys quite a bit and hurts them. Chin does seem to start maybe come into question a little bit. He's been cracked a couple times in his last fights, and the knees get a little loose, get a little wobbly, so you wonder when is that going to finally give out on him? Is it already starting to do so? Going against the guy here, Daniel Rodriguez, who's not like the biggest power puncher of all time, but the guy can crack. He's 18-5. He's got 8 knockout wins, 4 submission wins, 6 decision wins, 1 knockout loss, 1 submission loss, 3 decision losses. Got a common opponent here in Alex Morono. Decision win, whereas Santiago Ponzinibbio slept him. So I don't know if MMA math counts for much in your book, but it's like, all right, well, what they're doing against common opponents goes in Santiago's favor. Southpaw, though, pretty upright stance against guys who are going to grapple. You worry about that. He's been taken down a fair bit in the past and seems to struggle a little bit in that department. Susceptible to the lead low kick. Ponzinibbio, being as powerful if he is, he implements that. I think he could really affect the outcome of the fight by doing that, especially if he starts working it early and working it often. Like I said, not the greatest wrestling. Gets a bit lungy with his strikes, a little overextended at times. I would like to see Ponzinibbio implement a little bit of that grappling, show off that jiu-jitsu. I think he's got a black belt, so show off those credentials, get the takedown, work the ground game, maybe get a ground and pound TKO or something like that. 2 old sloppy vets, but I do lean toward Ponzinibbio here. I think he's got the grappling advantage, probably the power advantage. Both of them similar points in their career. He's got a little bit of a experience advantage as well, so Gotta go with the guy who's got more factors leaning in his favor. We're going Ponzinibbio, the Ponzi scheme. Next up, co-main event of the evening, one of the more exciting ones to me as a grappling guy, but Ranier de Rider versus Bo Nickel, the Bo Show, baby. Let's pull these guys up. So you got Ranier de Ritter, pretty credentialed jiu-jitsu grappling background, coming off several wins in a row, two UFC wins, two finishes, both submissions, one arm triangle, one a rear naked choke over a big mouth Kevin Holland. I think he went to a decision against the Ruotulos, which that alone in grappling's like, all right, well, you're a fucking animal if you're doing that. But Big guy, real big guy, pretty stocky build. Stylistically, the guy honestly kind of reminds me of like a fucking Frankenstein with jiu-jitsu or something. He kind of just plods forward, does a little bit of striking here and there, but it's more to, I think, get you distracted so that he can get in on the hips and get a takedown going. He even shot a couple times on the hips just to his knees and then shimmied up with his knees closer to the guy to finish the takedown. Chin, not the greatest. Got cracked a couple times by Gerald Mearshart, and it looked like he was maybe wobbled, maybe hurt a little bit. I think he cuts quite a bit of weight, though, also, which I think maybe impacts his chin, the durability of it. But kind of a big oaf, honestly. Got good jiu-jitsu, though. Seems like he's one of these guys who's strong as fuck. Like, once he grabs a hold of something, he's just going to choke the ever-loving shit out of you. A little slow, though. A little plodding. I think against Bo Nickel, that might be a problem. He's going against a young buck here, young lion, 29 years old, Bo Nickel, 7-0. 2 knockout wins, 4 submission wins, 1 decision win, no losses. Coming off a perhaps lackluster decision win over old Paul Craig that people really have shit on this guy for. I can understand why. You would think with as much hype as Bo Nickel has and as much shit as he at times has talked, you would think he'd go out there and just blow right through Paul Craig. And instead, he played a very composed, kind of slow, measured fight, where he more or less did everything he could to stay away from the grappling, which again is kind of understandable given the threat that Paul Craig is on the ground. Some people, take the stance, well, as credentialed as Bo Nickel is on the ground, you would think he wouldn't be afraid, but I get it. He's credentialed in wrestling, not as much in jiu-jitsu, whereas that's basically, that's effectively the only chance that Paul Craig has to win the fight, so why go there at all? Just stay on the feet, pick him apart, land some shots, which he did. Debatable if he landed the cleaner shots, because honestly, Paul Craig was starting to land a little bit, started to get the timing and landed some clean shots as well, but I don't know. I think people maybe shit on him a little bit harder than they should have, and I actually have. I was a huge Bo Nickel fan. I'm actually starting to sour on him, so this is coming from a guy who's kind of starting to sour on the dude a little bit. It's like, all right, we're going a little nuts here. Like the guy, sorry that he tried to win and fought a composed style to do so, but decorated collegiate wrestler, really beginning to develop some jiu-jitsu. Like I said, he's got several submission wins now. Entirely too confident in his abilities. I think that might cost him when he runs into some higher level guys like Drickus or Hamzat or something like that. You would like to see that come down a little bit. There's some stuff that he says in interviews where you're like, all right, guy, let's just cool it a little bit. But I think he's susceptible to the low kick given as wide as his stance is. I do got to give him credit to how well he's able to stay to a game plan. Really, you can tell he's a professional athlete. Like he goes at it almost like a college, or excuse me, like a professional football player, like an NFL player, like a quarterback or something. It was like a Tom Brady or something where you can really see this guy's like studying tape, putting some thought into it, coming up with the game plan, sticking to the game plan. Likes to close the distance and throw the overhand dip off to the side, which I could actually see. It's like it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to land on Raniere, or when he closes in like that, and if he does miss, or even if he lands and Raniere weathers it just fine, he's going to close the gap enough so that Raniere might be able to jump on him, get his back, and catch a sub or something like that. Has a low kick that he uses fairly well. It doesn't seem to have a lot of power on it. I think he's kind of slapping with it. Not the biggest guy, too. At times, I wonder if he could damn near make welterweight. Good movement, though, as a wrestler. You'd hope so. That's something I think he needs to start relying a little bit more on. Moving, getting the feints going, shooting around to the side. Really getting the angles going, almost like a TJ or Dom Cruz or something like that. Like, let's work the angles more. Strikes me as a kid, though, like, he'd run up to you and throw, like, his best attack and then, like, wait and see what does. Does nothing. He runs back, regroups, comes back up, throws your best attack. Nothing, regroups. Runs up to his best attack. That's like his style. He kind of resets, throws the big overhand, dips out to the right, backs up, waits, throws a high kick, waits, sets, throws a big overhand, steps off to the right. Like, kind of does that over and over again. But I do think Bo has the higher ceiling here. He should win this fight. something about this. There's a weird gut feeling, man, that Ranier snatches up something. Take him by sub. Bo should win this, but I could see a potential sub or something happening here. Maybe do the under. What is? He's only lost twice. What has it been? 2 knockouts. I don't know, man. Something weird's gonna happen with this fight. I could just see it being a shit show. But moving on, Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo, the God of War versus the Sandman. We got old Cory Sandhagen here, 17-5. Dude's been around the block once or twice. 33 years old now. God, I remember when he was just coming on the scene, just early 20s, young buck. Anyway, 33 years old. 7 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, 7 decision wins, 1 submission loss, 4 decision losses. Coming off a decision loss to Umar Nurmagomedov, so no slouch there. In a relatively competitive fight, it's just clear that Umar has the grappling wrestling advantage. Versatile attacks, though. Cory Sandhagen, he's got a lot to offer you. He's got, of course, the spin kicks. He'll hit the flying knees on you. He's very quick. Got a good jab straight. Really started to improve his wrestling. Very cerebral fighter as well. He's good at keeping you guessing, throwing a wide range of attacks that are hard to predict, hard to see coming. I guess it's like the semi-cliche thing. Now he's overloading your computer to keep you guessing and then, capitalizes on it. Got a couple brutal knockouts to his name, couple good wins, particularly the knee over Frankie Edgar always comes to mind. Real good with the feints. His distance management is very good as well. I think he's got a little bit of an underrated submission game. There's been times where he will snatch on a submission that I'm just like, man, that was nasty. It was pretty nasty. Got a good scramble as well. One of these guys that you're pretty much going to have to shut him out to win. You're either going to have to put his lights out or you're going to have to choke him unconscious, which is maybe not expected. Looking at the guy, he's kind of a goofy-looking dude. You'd be like, oh, look at this nerd. And then he's kind of a savage. Bit of a weirdo, though. I'm not the biggest fan of him, like in his interviews and stuff. My cousin, that's like one of his favorite fighters. Stylistically, though, I love watching him fight. A lot of fun. Not the best power. You'd like to see sometimes him sit down on his punches, sit down on his strikes a little bit more and actually hurt some of these guys. I think maybe he could. But he's also, I don't think he's going out there and purposely not throwing haymakers. Like he's kind of piecing people up intentionally. Going against the guy, though, here, the God of War, Deiveson Figueiredo, 37 years old, 24-4, quite a bit of experience, 9 knockout wins, 9 submission wins, 6 decision wins, 1 knockout loss, 1 submission loss, 2 decision losses. Former champ, coming up to another weight class here, bantamweight, trying to get another belt. He's not far removed from it. Very exciting fighter. I always like watching Figgy fight. Kind of got a upright Muay Thai stance. Very powerful striker. He's kind of selective with his shots. Not like you're going to see a ton of volume with him, but he's got very powerful shots when he does throw them. He's like a sniper. Real hard straights. Real good leg kicks, low kicks. Throws the body kick real well. Doesn't go up high with it too often, but it just rips to the body. He's got good hooks to the body. Great submission game. He's very dangerous. He's one of these dudes that he's not really going out there to grapple you, but then when somebody tries to shoot on him, he snatches up the nastiest guillotine. You're like, hey man, why are you just awesome at jiu-jitsu and you just don't like to do it or what? Like, what are we doing here? Because you snatch up submissions like nobody's business. He's got some pretty nasty submission wins over people. Shorter guy is going to be at a bit of a reach disadvantage here. That 70-68 throws me off. I know Cory Sandhagen's a little bit short-limbed, but I think the differential might be a little bit more than that there. And I know their tape measures aren't always super accurate, but stylistically, I would say Deiveson has a pretty clear power advantage in this fight, whereas Cory's probably going to have the speed. I would say probably the wrestling advantage as well now at this point. Cory's really improved in his grappling. It's been pretty impressive to see how much he's come along because that kind of used to be – there was a point in time where that was the game plan to beat him, like Aljo and those kind of guys. You're just like, yeah, go out there, take him down, fucking ground and pound him or wear him out on the ground, and you kind of have this in the bag. And now he's going out there and mixing it up, throwing takedowns of his own. And like I said, he's got a pretty nasty submission game now. So I think he's got the advantage there, advantage in the speed. Technical, they probably kind of cancel each other out. in the technique area there. Maybe a slight technical advantage to Cory Sandhagen just on the sheer the sheer volume of attacks that he has at his arsenal. The dude has just the craziest shit. He's throwing spinning wheel kicks and flying knees and this, that, and the other. Whereas Deiveson, you kind of see him throw the same shit over and over again, but he sets it up really well. Which isn't to say that he can't throw the other stuff. I just don't think he does. So you kind of maybe you give a tip of the cap to Sandhagen a little bit there because he can implement those crazy versatile attacks into his game plan and pull them off pretty well. I think he's gonna have a size advantage though, a power advantage. Like a physical power advantage in the wrestling, scrambling department. I think power in the striking actually goes to Figgy, but either way, to save the rambling, we're going to go with Cory Sandhagen. I think probably by points. Let's see what Sandhagen by decision is real quick. Yeah, Sandhagen by points, minus 152. I think that's probably the safe bet here. Probably pieces up Figgy. They're getting some good exchanges, but he stays on the outside, pieces him up, maybe potentially gets a late finish, but more than likely I see him keeping him at bay and chipping away at him, cruising on to a decision win. So that is it. That's it. UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Figgy. Came off a good fight card last weekend. You had old Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates. Pretty fun card. Ian Gary getting the win over Carlos. It is what it is. That is it, though. We'll probably do a recap, and then we'll do some more fight breakdowns next week. We'll put our fight picks out on Twitter as well, like we normally do. Generally Friday after the weigh-ins. Maybe Thursday night, something like that. But throw us a like, comment, subscribe, all the good shit. It helps us out. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.